Is the recording underway?
Started now. Yes.
Nice. Thank you very much. Then welcome everyone. Thanks very much for being here. We're really, really grateful for the time that you're giving to this. And we hope that it will be fun and worthwhile. There's a lot to cover today. Time is of the essence, so we will be proceeding in a relatively rapid and high energy pace. Yeah, I hope you all enjoy it. Feel free to interrupt me at any point if you'd like to. Hopefully there's been a fair amount of framing or a little bit of introduction already to this process and this program. So I won't go over that too much for now. What I'd like to do is jump right into it and get started. And I will be asking for everybody's participation in some form or another. So you can expect the mic to come around to you in a moment's time. Yeah, it should be fun. So without further ado, a rough outline of what's to come is intros, which we will do by, I will invite you to read your evaluation profile from the globe. Then an invitation to hear of any reflections or, hey, Bowie, glad to have you here. Any reflections or key takeaways from those who have watched the interview that was shared, the call recording that was shared within the last 24 hours. If any of you have watched that, then maybe just react with a quick thumbs up, just so I know if there is anyone. I've seen Echo has joined, so I know he has watched it. But I also know he's on a bus, so Chick, great, you've watched it. Okay, if anyone else has watched it, then please let me know. Then quick pause for any questions before we jump into the globe. Quick overview of the globe, because we did that in the recording or in the video of the call yesterday, but it would be good to do a quick whistle-stop tour of that again today. The globe is the main app that we're using or that we're offering for you to do your evaluation process. And then after that quick overview, we'll enter into a space of the first evaluations, and these won't be official, but it will be a way for us to see from each other how we engage with this process. So we're learning during this call how to do the evaluation, and that will mostly take form as me offering that as an invitation for anyone to pick a piece of information from this app, read it out loud, and reflect on what that means to them from their evaluation perspective. I think the intros will be really important to open us up to this space, because you've all given really wonderful backgrounds to yourselves and the perspective from which you'll be evaluating. And that's basically it. Then we'll be wrapping up. So that's the agenda. Now let's head into the intros. I will share screen and open the globe, and we'll get things underway. Would anyone like to go first? Is anyone feeling brave, courageous? If not, I will have to pick someone. In that case, very well. Jess?
Okay.
You're on YouTube. Would you like to go first? Or Mercy, were you trying to say something?
No, I was saying that I can quickly go, maybe set the tone whilst Jess gets ready. My name is Mercy. I'm part of the CATS organizing team and also part of the hackathon team, which is obviously part of CATS. Very happy to be here. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Jess Grootman. I am coming all the way from San Francisco, California. I run an organization here called the Regenerative Technology Project. So very focused on how to bring regenerative and systemic design into technologies themselves and tech organizations. And really excited to join you all here and also in Nairobi.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jess and Mercy. And I remember I invited Mercy specifically to open the call with us, and then in all of my excitement, I've just jumped straight in, which happens almost every time I'm part of an exciting call. Mercy, do you want to set the context a little more for us, or should we continue in this rapid manner?
Let me. You know what? Let's get everybody to just say one or two sentences about themselves, and then I can quickly set the tone, and then we can roll from there. How about that?
Wonderful, wonderful. So then, to proceed with these cards on screen, can I invite Shik to out your invitation, and welcome to the call, Shik. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thanks, Tabs, and hi, nice to see you and many of you again, Mercy, Clement, Sam. So I'm Shik, you can call me Shik. I am currently in Berlin studying a Master's of Public Policy at the Hertie School. My past has been as an activist and a mobilizer and a facilitator, and therefore, like, the perspective that I'm hoping to bring is how these projects, these teams govern themselves, and how that lends to greater inclusion, long-term thinking, and yeah, essentially decision making that is stewarded by what is required by the community, rather than any vested interests or I don't want to be making it antagonistic, but basically, yeah, making it a collectively conscious decision making process. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And yeah, one thing that stood out for me here is your reference to particularly when AI or data systems are involved, which I think is really relevant to this program as well.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that, but I'm pursuing quite keenly like an AI governance lens in my policy work. So yes, thanks for bringing that up.
Alrighty. Would anyone like to go next? Or maybe Shik, you could pass it to someone.
I can go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Bowie. I'm based in Costa Rica, but right now I'm in London visiting family. I will try my best to bring a decolonial lens, honoring local, regional practices and traditions, since a lot of projects sometimes might be from folks who mean well, but might not necessarily have the context that is important to the local people and place and environment and nature, and also trying to bring a lens of understanding the historical aspects, the existing power dynamics, and really, working to create new systems that don't rely, depend, or feed or continue to build on that power dynamics that is not conducive to life. So yeah, that's me. Thank you all. Really great to meet you.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm really interested to see if it will be possible to apply that lens through the app in terms of what the teams have submitted and the information that's available. One thing that came to mind is there is the functionality to actually schedule calls with hubs if you wanted to open up a more intentional space or more exploratory space. Yeah, really interesting. Would you like to pass it on to someone? And thank you, Bowie.
Let's see. Hold on, I can't see everyone. Clement.
Hello everyone. I'm Clement Matomason from Dream Village. I'm coming from the perspective of regenerative agriculture and regenerative communities. And I will be coming in with the lens of how do we merge and manage communities through regenerative development. And so I think mainly we'll be working together with all of you to look at the synergies we can create and also bring in the African perspectives in terms of rural communities and regenerative development. So I'm excited to see what we can bring on board. Of course, it's also a learning process for me to see what comes out of this whole process. I'm excited.
Wonderful. And I would love it if you could share a little bit more, even if just for 2 minutes. I know that's going to be difficult because there's so much to say about it, but about the project of Dream Village itself.
Yeah, thank you. I think Dream Village is basically a safe space for everyone who wants to dream about regenerative agriculture, regenerative communities, and how to build a holistic community where people can come together and benefit themselves and the planet. How do we live in synergy with with each other? And for the past few years, we built Dream Village as a safe space, and I think we had one of the first hackathon in Ghana with Tabs and Wada. I think everybody that came and experienced how we can live in community. It's wonderful that since the last time uh, we met from our course studying from UCI, we've been able to get Bowie has visited, Taps, Mercy. I mean, it's amazing to see how we couldn't have possibly even imagined this group of people, but we have been able to bring all these people into this living space. And Dream Village continues to be this safe space that we want to continue to build, and it's exciting to see more local young children are coming to the space. And I still remember the kids surrounding Shika, all the beautiful stories we had to tell around that. So I think building regenerative communities is possible, and Dream Village is set to become like the model space. I mean, we learn a lot, we make some mistakes, we also adapt. And then the idea is that we can share this knowledge with other people who wants to build similar spaces. And so basically, Dream Village is an experimental space for regenerative development.
Awesome. Thanks, Clement. And who would you like to pass it on to? Oh, you're on mute if you're speaking.
So I think let's pass it on to Megan, if she can take up the.
Yeah, I did a little bit of an intro before we started the recording, but I am sort of joining this call as an observer and help-in facilitator. I'm abstaining myself from evaluation specifically just because of how involved I've been with these hubs, or with some of the hubs, I'd say in particular. So more background on me, directly involved with the Cameroon hub on the ground, and based most of my time there, although since I've known some of the people on the call, it's been more in the US because I'm taking a short break here. But glad everyone's here, and maybe I'll pass over to Gentil.
Yeah, so again, thank you. So Gentil, also known as Frédéric Samvois. I'm based in Ottawa, in Canada. However, I do support hubs in Africa in terms of instructions, blockchain implementation, and also sometimes even tooling like network tool servers and stuff. Overall, I'm a co-founder of Equival, which is a P2P DEX, decentralized exchange, a non-custodial decentralized exchange on Cardano. I've also been involved in as an instructor on blockchain, Bluetooth in particular, on the Cardano blockchain for 2 years. And since then, that's when I went on and co-founded Equival, which is also relying a lot on Bluetooth. On a day-to-day basis, I support blockchain application in Africa mostly, and also other developing nations, because I do think that the informal sector should benefit from blockchain applications, and you'll think that I'm also enthusiastic as to what are the promises of the blockchain. Ultimately, I do think that blockchain should replace nation state entities. So kind of an off a person on why the blockchain should exist in the first place. And yes, I'm also involved in teaching. I try to involve mostly students in Africa, mostly those who can speak French, because I'm from Congo, we speak French. So the language barrier sometimes is an issue for students who are French speakers and who wants to join blockchain activities. They're kind of having a barrier. However, we support them in translation and some of them even English studies. And so far, I'm also a stake pool operator on Cardano for the past 3 years, and yeah, so it's a good experience I have. For the evaluations, again, I think my focus will be on day-to-day activities, mostly mobile application, cash implementation, and also some tokenization of real-world assets, such as cooperative creations to the blockchain, crowdfunding, and the likes. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for being here. Who would you like to pass it on to?
I don't know who else is left out. We have quite had everybody, I think. I see there are 4 others here. Let me see. Samuel, did he speak? Samuel spoke?
He's not spoken yet, no.
Okay, Samuel it is then.
Yeah, hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm Samuel. I'm from Ghana, currently based in Berlin. I'm here to listen more, to observe, and particularly fully appreciate how the evaluation process are going to be, how it is going to be like. Because I do a lot of engagements. Been exciting so far. It will be back to back, and when you bring the team, and I'm excited.
Sorry, Samuel, I'm going to interrupt you. We're not hearing you at all. So whatever you're saying is getting lost in poor connection. So maybe you could type in the chat a couple of things, or we could pass it on for now. Maybe I want to hear which of some people are hiding. It's hard for me to see everyone who's not on camera. So maybe just someone off of camera, if you haven't introduced yourself, raise your hand. Okay, he's passing to Abdul. Abdul Rahman, you've been called up.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening. We can just about hear you.
Can you hear me?
Kind of. Could you speak a bit closer to the mic?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's a bit better.
Oh, I'm Umar Abdurrahman. I'm happy to be part of the first actual energy that happens in Accra. And I and my team worked on a project called Beat to Cash, a smart waste management system intends to fight floods and also keep the rivers and ocean clean. We also, in our solution, we intend to create jobs with this solution. So I intend to come on this with to help with the groundwork with the experience I have as part of the previous action learning journey that I've been.
Yeah, awesome. It's really great to have you here as one of the participants of the previous event. So thank you for being here. Would you like to pass it on to Edufwa or Echo?
I'll pass on to Edufwa.
Hello, everyone. My name is Edufwa. I am part of the WADA team, and I'm happy to be here too and meeting everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Edufwa. And Echo, are you able to give a quick intro? I know you're traveling at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes, I just got off the bus not long ago. But am I audible though?
Yes, you are very.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So my name is Echo Harden, and my reason of authority for being here is quite similar to Abdul Rahman. I was privileged to partake in the first action energy that happened in Accra, and my team worked on a project called the Carpool or Urban Link currently. It has to do with transportation challenges in Ghana. So more than often, realize that workers or employees of companies are unable to get reliable transport services. Either that or when they even get it, the struggles involved is actually very, very like challenging to help to it. So we worked on a carpool scheduling platform that can help these workers to pre-book their seats in order to like take them to work and so after work too. And I think myself personally, this action learning journey has been a very positive influence on my end because I've been in the Cardano space or block space for like close to for about 2 years now, and I've been trying to find the technical part I could fit in, and this action learning journey has more or less like defined the career path I could take. I think as of last year, I was fortunate to also I had to undertake UI UX design because my team had no one of that sort, like having that skill. So I took it upon myself to do it. 2026, one of my goals or 2025 reflections here, one of my goals for 2026 is to actually learn to become a Haskell developer. So I'm very actively taking a course in it. I think Canano has an initiative that's teaching students on Haskell and development. So that's what I'm currently like very, very active on too. And yeah, so in regards to CAT, to as Abdurrahman mentioned, from my experiences and the potential for the students. Myself, I watched the video and I was actually very excited to see the number of teams we had in there and people. I didn't think like it would be massive, as in like the number of teams to come on board. I knew there would be very great ideas, but as in the number of teams. So when I saw the turnout, I'm very, very happy. So the little I can also share or contribute per my experiences and moving forward, certain potentials that they can look up to. I think that's what I would be doing in here. So thank you very much for the opportunity once again.
Thank you, Echo. And if I'm correct, then that's everybody introduced. If there's anyone else, I don't think we're missing anyone. I think that was everyone. Thank you, everyone, for those introductions. That was wonderful. We can now transition into hearing any reflections from those who have watched the onboarding video. But before we do, Mercy, would you like to say anything at this point?
Yes, I will be very brief. And being brief means that we cannot adequately express all of our appreciation for all of you evaluators being here. We really, really appreciate some of you. I know that it's been very short notice. Maybe what we can share with you that will maybe help you know the value of what we're doing. It's pretty much what Echo said, right? It's taken us a while to get here, and what we are doing currently is really beyond our expectations. We did not expect that we'll get the kind of engagement that we've had. And we know that to the summit and after the summit, that's where right now we are actually focusing in terms of making sure that this is sustainable, this is long-term, this is systems thinking, value decolonization, as has already been said. But we think that this is going to be a long journey, and thank you all for being here. If Megan or Tabs, you have anything else to add, that will be from a host perspective, that would be great. But those are my words, and I cannot express that enough in terms of how much we value all of you being here. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I can really quickly build on that. I think Mercy said it all in terms of this is exceeding our expectations, and obviously that's a really great thing. But I think we're especially grateful for the external evaluators coming on board to help us to provide, some of that external and unbiased feedback to the projects. Of course, some of us who have been involved for a long time have that passion and desire to help the projects, but it really all comes together with a more broad input base. So it's really valuable having all these diverse perspectives here. And just wanted to say thanks everyone for agreeing to your time today and then over the next period of time as well, supporting throughout this.
Yeah, from my side, I'll just share a quick reflection, which is that an image I hold in mind to think of all of the work and organization that has gone into this is this one here, because it shows how many not just how many different organizations there are, but also different levels. Everyone has been playing a role in some way, working on organizing this summit. And what has been really wonderful is seeing just how much kind of bottom-up contributions there have been. And that's what we're trying to make visible in the evaluation app, the globe here, which we'll dive into in a second. But before I do, I just want to open up for any reflections from anyone who watched the video. Just 2 minutes to say anything in particular that stood out for you, what was a surprise, or a key insight. If you'd like to, feel free to unmute and share a quick reflection. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I can quickly go first. So what stood out for me is at the start of that video, you mentioned that this evaluation process is a way to help, I don't know, I'm paraphrasing, but help the teams see their own value or have the value be evidenced, because obviously everyone is creating value. So us as evaluators, we're helping that value be seen rather than judging or evaluating them only. And so I noticed that all of us are bringing in quite rich different perspectives, and with each of our perspectives, we are kind of making it visible how we are seeing the value in each team, and through what we surface, the rest of us can kind of, it's like we are shining a prism, interestingly enough, on the team. And then each of us is making sense and attributing, like, oh, this is what I see, like Bowie brought up this, like the decolonial lens, very close to what I'm interested in, and now I'm able to apply my governance perspective to what she brought up and what Abdul Rahman brought up, and so on and so forth. So that's what stood out for me as like the collective task at hand.
Yeah, thank you, Shik. Thank you so much for that. And is there any other reflections from anyone else on the video? Anything that stood out for them before we move on into the app itself?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So myself, I think I would give kudos to the team behind the CAT organization because I remember when it all started, it looked a bit some way when it started, but when I looked at just this recent video, it was so good I had to like watch it twice because I was impressed about like the extent to which the team has actually gone to. And as I said earlier, the number of teams that are participating alone it shows that there's actually a lot of potential within the African ecosystem. Just that people are not identifying opportunities like this too. And I remember Clement asked a question in there that after the three teams that will be selected, the rest what happens to them too. And I think that's one part I've also been thinking on for a while. That yeah, of course there will have to be a first three and there has to be like probably a last two. But I'm also thinking that if even after the project they can still be engaged. And I think from our experience with the action engine that happened to in Accra, once I realized that even after the program, there's something you as an individual can start working on so that when the time gets there, like as you are documenting your process, definitely certain external opportunities, if not even within, will definitely show up. And as students or as participants, I think from there they can also carry on, but just that they will have to trace it to the cat's journey too. And yeah, I noticed that I learned the HAP leads to would be given opportunity to go to Nairobi, and I believe it's a very good opportunity for them because myself too. I think going to Nairobi last 2 years, sorry, I think that's what actually started my whole taking the Cardano journey quite serious and like having a better clarity on the party. So I believe the long and short is I believe like we are all on the cat team is on the right path too. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Echo. Thank you so much. And we've also had Sila join since the start of the call. Sila, would you like to do a quick intro? We've all introduced ourselves. It's optional. Just let me know if you would, or if we'll proceed. If not, we'll proceed.
Okay, I'll like to introduce myself. Thank you for the opportunity to do that. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. So my name is Priscilla, and I like to be called Sila for short. Currently, I am the one of the leads for Herbal Ghana, and we just launched, and because it's a blockchain community, we're trying to build the blockchain community in Ghana. We're trying to build a blockchain community in Ghana to build Ghana and Ghanaian communities in Africa as a whole in terms of providing the skills and the resources to the community to ensure that they are able to look at the potential needs of their communities and be able to come up with products and even businesses that could help the communities to grow and be empowered, right? And also as youth, it is our duty to ensure that we are building our communities. So apart from that, I also come from a tech background where I learned software development only because I felt like it's a way of creating stuff, right? And offering creative solutions to the many problems that we have. And even if I don't actually build right now, right, with the knowledge that I have, I'm able to think creatively because when you learn how to code, it kind of helps you solve problems in a certain way that is more authentic. And so in the long term, right, I would like to be a person who helps people and businesses to come up with innovative products that actually solve real needs of people. So that's a bit about me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sila. It's so good to have you here. So yeah, I think I just want to recognize there's 16 people on this call. So I think that really speaks to how there's really something here which we've all been called to, and really seeing a lot of meaning in the work that's taking place. I think we're also a really legit evaluation team. I think your qualifications are very impressive, and we're truly very honored to have you here. So without further ado, let's jump into the globe, and I'll give a quick overview of the app, how you can use it for evaluation. And as a reminder, all of this is leading to your nominations of the top teams. Those top teams, there will then be one per hub where a team representative is given the opportunity to travel to Nairobi for CATS, for the Cardano Africa Tech Summit. And this is the process of how we're going to make that happen. So yeah, without further ado, this is the app by which you can conduct your evaluations. It's relatively simple. Along the top here, you have 3 main stakeholders. We've been looking at the partners, which are yourselves. Another very key stakeholder group are the teams, and all of those teams have been taking part in hackathons that were organized by these hubs on the ground. Quick overview, there was over 25 hubs, and there are now over 100 teams. That's quite an incredible result and very exciting. The work that they've been doing has been guided in such a way that they were invited to walk their local communities. So the hubs are on the ground, the teams are working on the ground, and they're working in a locally relevant way. What's special about that is that every place is unique. Every regional context is its own environment, its own, it has its own systems, its own way of working, its own character, its own little intricacies. And because of that, and because of how the whole program and the tooling has been designed to allow for all of that uniqueness, there's an incredibly rich amount of information in this app, even though, like I said before, it's relatively simple: teams, hubs, partners. Within each section, there's every card is special, because every card is touching into its own unique context. What we can do now is open one of these cards as an example and have a look. And so in no particular order, let's just take the top one, right? This is a team that has registered once already, and then has updated their team registration. And that's why they're at the top of the list. We've had several team updates, and this will continue to happen. It's all been built to be the start of an ongoing process from here on. If we look on screen, you can see a card for the team here, and you see the team members and their roles, and a description of those roles. They have nominated those roles themselves, and this sentence here is their problem statement. That comes from them as well. That comes from them. In many hackathon programs, problem statements are defined based on what the technology providers or the funders basically want you to build or want you to focus on. And we've been very lucky in this sense, in that we were given the opportunity for those problem statements to come from the communities themselves. So they walked the neighborhoods, they identified what they wanted to work on, and then they register their teams in response to that. If we open the tab here, we can see the team's responses to 4 key questions. And those questions have been designed to try and lift up some of the ways in which this work is quite systemic. So if someone would like to, you can volunteer to read out how this team is describing its role in its region. Would anyone like to be a volunteer?
I can read. From health hazards to regenerative economy. Oof, I might pronounce this wrongly. Samaru? Does anyone know how to say this properly? Samaru currently faces a sanitation crisis where unmanaged waste piles create health hazards, malaria, typhoid for the community. However, beneath this friction lies an immense potential, an active, though informal network of local collectors and households already engaging in waste disposal. Our project identifies the potential to transform this opaque, hazardous system into a transparent, verifiable waste economy. By bridging the digital divide, we can elevate the existing labor of informal collectors, turning waste into a tracked asset, organic fertilizer, thereby ensuring fair compensation and a cleaner environment without requiring expensive hardware.
Thank you, Bowie. So the purpose of that was to demonstrate how much richness of information there is in what these teams are describing. That's how they're describing their role. You can then read about how they're seeing the potential that they're working on. And this is part of how we've approached facilitating these hackathons. You can then read about how their perspective on their project and their local systems has evolved over the course of the program. And you can then read their response of how they're organizing themselves to work on that potential, to work on those systems. Now, if I open another team, which, let's see, I think this one can be a good example. In a few moments' time, you will hopefully see at the top here a few more dots appear. And that's because this team has, there we go, updated their responses. So you can actually see how their responses to these 4 points has changed over the course of the program. On the 14th of December, they were thinking about their role in the region in this way. On the 4th of January, they were thinking about their role in this way. They were thinking about potential in that way. And you can see how much text there is. Each of them are very systemic and very sincere. And now imagine there's over 100 teams. That, to me, is really worth letting that sink in. I think that's huge. So obviously that's quite a lot to evaluate, right? So we have tried to streamline this process by asking the hubs to select their top 3 teams. And then they have, by nominating those top 3 teams, the evaluators have a much more distilled set of projects to review first. This is recognizing that, you know, although it would be really lovely to sit here all day and review all of them, and they all deserve that, we need to account for people's availabilities, and we're already asking a lot, even just by you being here already. So that's the spotlighted teams. If you would like, you can also see the teams by hubs, and you're welcome to explore this. I didn't go on the spotlighted teams because I need to tweak last couple of things, but it will be done in no time. On the hubs side, you can also see story publications. So there's a lot to say about each of these tabs and all of the different data behind this. The onboarding video, which we've referred to a bit at the start of the call, touches on them in a bit more detail. So I think in this call it would be more effective to focus on this tab here, story publishing. And the story publishing is serving the purpose of recognizing, okay, imagine going back to this image, we've had 25 plus hubs. They've each formed about 8 teams. And each of those teams are working on local systems. So the amount of systems that's being spoken to is immense. That's also the case for every individual hub. If you have 8 teams working on local systems, there's a lot to work through. So the hub's role has also been to make a curation or a story, basically tell the story of the work that's happening on the ground. And that's meant to kind of cherry pick certain pieces of data and curate this very nice guided journey for you. That's an introduction to the hubs, and then from there you can read about each teams, and in that way there's a huge amount of material for you to evaluate. The content that's loading here actually comes from a documentation site which each hub has set up as part of the process. So you can read all about their work, and every doc has its own documentation site. But this story here, this curation, is basically cherry picking 3 pages from that whole documentation site and saying, this is how we're creating an introduction into our work. Yes, there's a yeah. Okay, so let me pause here for now for any questions. We have 10 minutes left, and we can take any questions, and then we'll wrap up towards the end. Mercy.
Even though I'm very much like Megan in terms of not really doing the evaluation because of, obviously conflicts. As an evaluator, where would I start? Where do you think would be a quick and easy place for me to start? And, that makes it really sort of intuitive and organic to finish the evaluation. Can you throw a bit more light on that?
Yes, thank you, Mercy. So the place to start is by the top 3 teams that each hubs are spotlighting. And that will go here in this page here, but I will also make it available in the See Story section. So when you click See Story for the hub, it will say these are the top 3 teams that we are nominating. We're doing everything in the nick of time, and so I need to implement that feature. But even just between yesterday's call and today, we've still been implementing a bunch of features, so it will come online within the next 4 hours, let's say. I will do it straight after this call.
I think Megan has her hand up as well. Megan, do you want to go or?
Yeah, okay. No, I just didn't want to interrupt. Not so much a question, but since I see there's not questions, I wanted to kind of paint the full picture for everyone. I'm not sure how much everyone has gotten of this whole process. So as Tabs mentioned, we have asked the hubs to narrow down to the top 3. just as background, the top 3 teams will each be getting ADA prizes. And that, kind of was already decided by them. What we're entering into right now, this 3-day period, is to determine one top project per hub. And Tab, mentioned that we will be flying out one representative from the team, the winning team, as well as a hub lead from each of the hubs to Nairobi. And then in person over the, and this is still, emergent how we're going to do this next phase. But then once in person, of those 12 finalists, we will select a top 5. But what happens between them, between this selection and that selection, is a month of online support and mentorship from you all, from us, from different people coming in. And that is something that we will also kind of discuss further as a group. But then ultimately then the final thing is the top 5 getting additional ADA prizes to come home from that conference with. And then past that, beyond, is figuring out something like 6 months of support to some or all, as many as we can, of these projects. So just to kind of put everything into perspective, I just wanted to make sure everyone had that background kind of going into this. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. You've filled in a lot of gaps there. Thank you, Megan. Any questions from anyone? This is an open space now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to find out because I see that you said the top 3 will be selected, and I was wondering if there was going to be specific assignment of a hub to an evaluator kind of situation, or we're going to have to take care of evaluate everybody. And the second point I wanted to make is, yes, of course, maybe some ideas may not be able to go through the hub level or may be able to qualify to go to the next stage, but doesn't necessarily make them their ideas quote unquote wrong, and therefore might still need some kind of mentorship and guidance in the process as we develop them. Because as a regenerative practitioner, I know that not all ideas that are going to grow in the future are presently solving the solutions that we want them to solve, but solutions can come up out of whatever organization that they are doing right now, and then in the future those solutions might become essential in our development and the processes. So I'm looking at, instead of after the selection of this first batch that makes it to the competition, beyond the competition, is there a way to still link up and connect to the hubs and find a way to still mentor those ideas to grow? Or we're just going to leave them there and say, okay, you didn't make it, so let's leave it like that. So I just want to have a bit of clarity on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that question, Clement. So these hub cards have contained within them these several buttons here. One of them takes you to their documentation site, but another one takes you to a link
where you can jump in. Sorry, Tabs.
No worries.
Would it be okay to jump in? I wanted to talk a bit zoomed out, because I think the question is more high level in terms of, we have 15 people on the call here. Let's say 12 of you are evaluators. We have 100 projects, but hopefully narrowed down to about 40 projects. So I think what would be good to talk about is what exactly is the process that we should follow as a group to make sure that all the projects are kind of given enough attention, and kind of that's done fairly. And so one thought I was having as Clement was talking is that we have some kind of like a tracking sheet where maybe it's a per hub basis where the evaluators can sign up for which hubs they're looking at. And then, depending on how long that takes you, you can take on more, but that we make sure at a minimum, like each hub has, let's say, 3 different evaluators looking at it. So maybe a way to start with this would be that we meet again tomorrow. So this is kind of an orientation call where you are all now introduced to the Potentialize app that Tabs has been sharing screen on. So that maybe if we meet again tomorrow, everyone might have a better idea of what they would want to commit to. Like I'm saying, if we select hubs per person, and everyone can think of the time that might be involved in that after exploring the site. That's a proposal.
And if I may add a little bit more clarification as well, as Clement was speaking, and thanks for that clarity, Megan and Tabs. So already, just to reiterate that already the hubs have gone through these 100 projects and they have chosen their top 3. So what at this point, and the deadline, if I may highlight that also, is Friday, the 9th of January, to choose, whatever work we need to do within the short term, for the evaluation. So we need to choose out of these 3 local, we need to choose just 1, right? But I will quickly go back to also what Clement said in terms of all the other projects, because there has been a lot of really good projects. We are not leaving them to sort of go fend for themselves. Megan did say very briefly in terms of some of the work that we'll be doing in January, but also after the summit. And that's where we will actually also be counting on all of you in terms of the support ongoing to make sure that, we leave no good projects behind. So just an addition, and I know that time is far gone. Back to you, Tabs.
Or Clement, I see you're unmuted if you want to respond to that.
No, it's okay. I think that I will just follow the lead and see what comes up, and then we can, as we brainstorm, figure out how to solve it.
Okay. All right. Yes, I think in recognition of time and respect of people's time, we should wrap up here. Thank you, everyone, for being here so far. As Megan says, this was an orientation. We will follow up with resources to formalize things that we've spoken to, like the form submission for selection. Yeah, we will respond properly to your question, Clement, which I think is very important. If anyone has any further questions or concerns, please can I invite you to follow up directly after the call, or just reach out to us in any way that you know how. We're all in contact. And yeah, we remain available for being as accommodating as we can be. And like Mercy was highlighting, the deadline is this Friday. And so it's a relatively intense turnaround period. And so, yeah, we'll be as available as we can be, super on hand to respond to anything if you do reach out to us. Yeah, and I think that's a good proposal, Megan. So let's wrap it up there. And I invite you all to unmute and say your goodbyes, and then we'll stop the recording and leave it there. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Okay, so Tabs, let me go since I didn't get a chance.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. See you next time.
Bye, Sheila. Thank you.